Valerie, thanks for joining. We're going to get
Mhm.
started with our sales simulator workshop today. And so we'll be able to provide this recording for anyone who wants to watch this later. Um, I've got the Lovable AI pulled up, and that's really kind of today's workshop is going to be dealing with Lovable, how to work with Lovable, what is Lovable, and kind of identifying how easy it is to build apps now. It's almost a little unsettling how easy it is to build apps. And if you've heard people talk about Lovable or Replit or some of the other app building AI tools, that's what we're working with today. Manus could be lumped into that category as well. Um, but I found Lovable probably to be the easiest to work with, and it's also been the most stable. And so we're going to jump right in because I want pretty much the entire workshop today to be focused on building the sales simulator. Valerie, I'm going to be asking you for your input on what you'd like it to do. And the concept here is solving the challenge of, well, my technicians go out and they're effectively practicing on customers, and maybe it's not a technician, it could be anyone in a sales role, right? Any It could be a CSR, it could be if you're a restaurant and you're dealing with large catering orders, it could be any number of things. But really it comes down to your interaction with a customer. Is that the first time you're having that type of interaction, or is the only time you're having that type of interaction when you're in front of a customer, which is really not what you want, right? You want to be practicing before you play the game. And yeah, any awkward pauses or less than ideal answers, how much does that cost you? And you start repeating that every day, and it gets expensive. So that's kind of the initial concept for this. There's obviously millions of other ideas that you could run with to build your own app. That's what's really cool about this tool. And then if you don't know something, you just ask it. Just, how do I do this? And it'll help walk you through it. So, Valerie, any questions before we get going?
Is so this is an AI similar. I haven't used the Manus or anything yet, but this is like similar to like Chat GPT, but even better.
So, good question. So, with Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, not Claude Code, but Claude, those are all essentially chatbots. So you're having a conversation.
Uh-huh.
In the case of Gemini, it can create Google Sheets for you, but if you ask it to create a PDF, it can't do it, right? Same for ChatGPT and any other chatbot type AI. Lovable is very similar to that in that you're going to type in a prompt here and ask it to do something for you, and it's going to actually start to build things with code. So it's
Okay.
developing that software for you, right?
Hmm.
So you could pretty much any issues that you're having or challenges that you're having in business, you can go in and just start prompting this and start honing it. So I have this prompt pre-built. I'm just going to drop in here so you're not watching me type, but I'm asking it to build me a sales training role play app for home service technicians in this case. They get to pick a sales methodology, a service scenario, and then a homeowner personality, because each of your technicians is going to have their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to a certain type of customer. And when I was in the field, I certainly did. And so let's see what we got here. All right.
Already looks really interesting. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. So I've actually already built one, and we'll see where we go with this live build, because I'm interested to find out how it handles the live build. But we can also look at the one that I built, and I can't tell you how much my kids have enjoyed talking to the app, because yeah, they're actually having a conversation with the AI. I plugged it in with 11 Labs.
Mhm.
So the speech is very good and the responses are also very good. And yeah, they had a great time discussing it with the with AI. So it's making it's doing its job here. So this is really kind of when you're looking at these apps, you do have some downtime in between kind of when things get generated.
Yeah.
Yeah, to when they actually appear. So you can see it's doing some more work here.
I kind of like watching how it thinks.
Yeah, it's
Seeing
fun.
what it's doing. Yeah.
So right now it's loading the preview. The other thing that's cool about Lovable and Manus is also very good about this is it will say, hey, here's the next steps that we can do. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
We've got our sales role play trainer set up here. You can choose a sales methodology here. You can choose the service scenario here and the type of homeowner personality. So let's test it out. Let's see what happens based off of what we've got so far, and see what it's done just based on one prompt, right? Okay, so seems like our role play session isn't quite there yet.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got our next prompt here. So we're going to go here, add a new prompt, add a chat conversation screen, practice selling to an AI homeowner. So messages in bubbles with text input at the bottom. So this is kind of like building it out so that you're just having a conversation like you would with a chatbot. Ultimately, our goal is going to be to actually have a full-blown conversation with it, because
Does your Lovable store a memory the same way that a chatbot does, in the sense that it knows like what to do next in like storage or whatever I'm trying to ask, I guess.
so
Sorry.
between different chats, it doesn't. So it doesn't know what I built outside of this conversation.
Okay.
But it will remember what we discussed in this conversation,
Okay.
which is very similar to, chat or Gemini.
Yeah.
And, it's worth pointing out that you could pull up Gemini right now and go into what they call it, the live or the conversation mode, and have a discussion with Gemini, and basically have Gemini be the customer. Now
Okay.
you've got to set that up. You've got to explain to Gemini every time, this is what I want you to do. I want to have a conversation, and so on and so forth. But this would actually give you, this app would give you the ability of building out, okay, here are the scenarios. This is what I want you to develop. And then, I mean, you could imagine potentially having something like this that you could actually roll out to your team and then find out how often they're using it,
Yeah.
because you don't have any access to their Gemini account or their chat GPT unless they're going to, I guess, send you a screenshot or something like that. Okay, so here we go. So right now we've got this chat conversation going where, thanks for coming out, stop blowing, what do you think it could be? Let me do a diagnostic on this first. Okay. This makes sense. So it's kind of this chat back and forth conversation that we can have with the customer. Let me see our next prompt. Okay, so our next prompt is to enhance the homeowner on the back end and make that more powerful. So makes sense. What do you recommend we do? It's going to reset. And then so now it's Lovable is asking, do you want to enable the cloud? So it's going to have a built-in backend, a database. It's basically going to provide an LLM for your app, which Lovable is using Claude, which is very good. Where is it hosted? And so you can allow this. Now, what it's talking about here, free to start, pay as you scale, the more you use it, the more it's going to, credits or tokens are going to be used up. And so you have to make sure those are in your account when you develop something like this. So we're going to allow that to continue. And so right now, we're basically just developing this back and forth text conversation. I could, if I wanted to have it add in a feature so that I could speak and have it translate that into text. So it's going back and forth. But I'd rather, once the cloud is enabled, I'd rather jump ahead. And let's see. So next is going to be a real-time scoring, which is pretty cool. And this is the other thing that's neat about Lovable that some of the others don't do yet, is if it's working on something and you want to send it more instructions, it will put those instructions in a queue. So right now, that next set of instructions are queued up. So you can go on to doing something else, knowing that as soon as it's done with its current task, it will then move on to the next one after that.
Pretty cool. I'm already looking up like the pricing of it and just thinking of all the things I could make on here.
Yeah, it's very affordable for what it can do. I hope that it's that these stay affordable, because yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
All of the things that you're able to do here. So yeah, it's still working on building out the cloud.
How many credits would you say you use building something just like this?
You know, I can look up actually what it took to build the other one, but something basic like this, under 200.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It just depends on how much refinement you're doing, how deep into it you get. Yeah. So, okay. The homeowner is now powered by Lovable Cloud. So it's going to be more intelligent is essentially what it's saying. It's building that out. And then right after that one's done, our next message is queued up, and then it's already working on what to do next.
Oh, and it says you get credit rollover. So like if your credits, like you have extra stuff you didn't use that month, it rolls over into the next month.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That is one of the cool things about it. Okay. So it's doing some role play functionality in here right now. But I want to.
So you can actually make it with an AI voice, like talking like a customer back to you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal, is to make this as realistic as possible.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the opportunity or the benefit of standing in front of a customer and texting with them, so I can think about what words.
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna
plus a
use
lot of the
next.
time then when I'm training the team, they don't really
Yeah,
like reading. Like they're more, visual or vocal learners versus like reading all the SOPs and
yeah,
procedures or whatever. So like training this way is a lot more on point with what
yeah.
we need.
Well, and I've said this about the industry for quite some time. Technicians are working on stuff with their hands, a lot of times, because that's how they learn.
Yeah.
If they're generally not going to be book learners, and
Right.
that's each of us learns differently. So this
This
tool,
is awesome.
yeah, can give them a chance to do that. So, all right, so now it's working on the prompt to speak naturally, and have it talk back to us. Now, this is when I was building the other simulator. It came back and said, well, how do you want to do that? And whose voice do you want to use? Do you want to use something that I create, or do you want to use do you want to use one from 11 Labs? And so we'll see if it actually comes up with that again. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we skip right past that part this time. But yeah, I was came across another challenge yesterday with a client who, and this is true for pretty much for everybody. They need to start listening to the calls that their call center is taking, and that's not happening right now. And it's often one of those things that gets overlooked. Okay, so let's see here before we talk about that any further. There's working homeowners find signs and start conversation. Yeah, we'll talk. Okay, if you say so, let's try it out. Let's do this one, this one. Friendly again. Okay. So, how do we get speak? Have a It doesn't look like it understood what I was trying to accomplish there. I don't see any other buttons here for that. Okay, so yeah, now it's saying we can use 11 Labs, talk to them with your mic, text and voice playback, voice input only. What say you? What do you think? Thinking we go with, let's do the full voice chat. Submit that. All right, so this is getting us to the point where we need to use our 11 Labs key. And so you go over to 11 Labs, and then once you told it that you've done that, you would drop that 11 Labs API key in here, and we'd be good to go. So I'm actually going to switch over to the one that I've already built that is working. And actually, I've got this over on Sequoia Geo Academy's page, and came up with the idea to start building out an academy through Sequoia Geo, not anything official, just things that I think are helpful. So I put that Talk and Sell Pro is what it's called for now. And we're going to launch that in a second. But if you look down here, I've got this other tool that I think is really handy, because I see a lot of people ask very often, am I charging, how much am I supposed to charge? Do I charge enough right now? And so you can come into this calculator, plug in true cost hourly rate calculator, and add in your overhead, add in your labor efficiency, drop in the number of technicians, your billable efficiency. It's probably not as high as you think it is or want it to be. Your profit goal, you can add that in here. And then it spits out an expected hourly rate. So you get an idea of what you should be charging per hour versus what you're actually charging per hour right now. And so this is some important information as well. And that's, when I come up with useful tools like this, I'm going to drop them into the academy. So this is something that's going to be developing and ongoing, and just something that I enjoy doing, help other business owners out. All right. So here's the app that I built in the past. This one's got similar kind of setup here. We built this out to have more scenarios. So you've got AC breakdown, sewer line replacement. There's some electrical stuff in here as well. And so let's give this a shot. Okay. I'm interested to see how the audio is going to work here, just because we're recording and then this one's going to be talking at the same time. So it could get messy, just to warn you, but let's try this out. Okay. So, and then this, based on the sales methodology that you've selected, it actually prompts you down here at the bottom of what you should say. So let's try that out. Now, this headphones is actually for hands-free mode, because one of the things this app can be used for is, you set it up before you leave. While you're in the truck, you're actually able to go through these role-playing scenarios via Bluetooth, and you don't have to touch the app. There's no need for any kind of input, and you just tell it what you want it to do moving forward. So we're just going to use this version here, and I'm going to ask the question that I've been prompted with. Oh, wow. While visiting the site. How long has this been going on? How has it been affecting you and your family? So the first thing I need to do is actually diagnose the system and find out what the problem is. And then from there, I can go over all of your options with you. So for us to come out today and take a look at it, the diagnostic, like we quoted you over the phone, was $89. And that allows me to take a look at it. I'm going to check and see what the issue may be. And if I need to do any further diagnosis or before any other costs are incurred, I'm going to definitely let you know. So it'll be about 45 minutes or so, possibly less, for me to get an initial understanding of what's going on with the system. Are you going to be here the entire time? So, as you can see, the other thing that was built into this was each message is getting scored.
On the screen, I'm still seeing the screen that says Talk and Sell Pro, but I'm not seeing.
No, okay, let me switch you over here.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. That was my mistake. I switched tabs without switching screens. So this is what we've been doing. So it's talking, and then let me show you. Let's see. Is there anyone else who'd need to be part of this decision before we move forward?
It's really just me and my husband, but he's at work right now and usually lets me handle the house stuff unless it's a huge expense. If it's something simple, I can make the call, but if we're talking thousands of dollars, I definitely have to run it by him first. Why do you think it's going to be that expensive?
So yeah, each time it's scoring each of the responses, and it's kind of funny. The responses it's telling me to use is scoring at a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, you can see that, and there's a little bit of a delay between when my speech ends and he starts speaking again.
Mhm.
That was
And
actually programmed in.
yeah, it gives the coaching into grading too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that, like, with things like the additional coaching and grading each time, those are additional LLM calls. So it would be less expensive or simpler for this tool to run without those. But I think if I want this to be fully educational, I need that immediate feedback. You know, it needs to happen right away.
Definitely.
And so once you're done with this role play, you can actually, and this is again something that you can just tell, hey, I want you to build this out. It gives the feedback. And you can base this off of different types of sales processes. So if you've got a particular style or trainer that you prefer, you can actually build that into the app and have it utilize that style moving forward. The other thing that you can do here, and I'm actually going to go, let's switch over to, and I'll get on the correct tab this time. So this is the app that we were using in Lovable just now and building this out. And so just about any kind of flexibility that you want for the app, you can talk to, or you can tell the app, this is what I want. So in the case of this one, there is actually a login screen. So you could have users register and then keep track of their performance and their progress through this app. And I mean, Lovable is doing all of this. You know, I'm providing the idea and or direction. Some cases it will provide the direction, but Lovable is effectively running with this whole thing. So it's showing that we've already logged in. That's why it's not going back to the home screen. I think this is log out. So yeah, you see there's a login page, or you can continue as guest is what we did here. And then you can tell it that you want access to the back end.
Nice.
You know? And when you access the back end, you want to see a summary of all the scores. You want to see a performance dashboard and all of those things. It will build out for you. So what do you think? What are you going to build?
I'm gonna set that up, and I'm just gonna start making apps for everything, really.
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Yeah.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, the key really is, you know, the challenge now isn't building the app out. It's then taking the time to test it to make sure it's performing the way that you want it to.
Yeah.
Because up until this point, you were searching for the right software to work for you. Now we're transitioning away from finding software and into just building it.
Yep.
You know, it's like I was talking about building an app to listen to phone calls for me. And so with the right permissions, you can just build that app, deploy it in Service Titan, get the credentials that you need after you've deployed the app into Service Titan, and have it start listening to those phone calls for you.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited about that. And like to have it be like a CSR coaching grader and stuff, that would be cool.
Yeah, which I mean, you could use this for that. You could have CSRs work with this on the front end, and then once they're actually on calls, have that component work on the actual, okay, here's the calls that you took, here's how you performed. So yeah, the world of possibility and opportunity is really wide open there. So
Really?
yeah. Well, that pretty much wraps us up for this session. Is there anything else that you wanted to see? Any other questions that you had about Lovable for the time being?
I think that looked really cool. What kind of other apps do you recommend for service industry homeowners that they could build themselves with? Like, I wouldn't say limited credits, but what
Yeah.
other apps do you recommend to build?
So it really depends on who your target is, right? Because you could build an app. You think about common challenges that customers face when it comes to maybe selecting a service provider or uncertainty about what's going to happen. And you could build an app that could potentially be hosted on your website to explain the process, or maybe it's an LLM trained on your website to answer questions for customers instead of it just being a static website. It could be, a really savvy financing calculator or something along those lines. So it's not as generic. I mean, the possibilities are almost endless. Your own load calc, you could build your own load calculation tool if you give it all the data that it needs,
Yeah. So like you could make like a custom form for your website that maybe even something like to opt customers in for future marketing and then have it on your website or something maybe. Is that something you could do or?
Yeah. And I think that's really, because we have stuff like that available now, you can start to take that another level or two in terms of how interactive it is. And say you've got a form on your site, and based on the answers that they provide, it's coming up with either responses or additional questions, or, now the form can actually think instead of just having conditional logic built in, or, the next, 5 to 10 questions. Now you've got something on your site that can actually help a customer further down the path, collecting photos of what's happening, and show me, for if it's plumbing, right, show me the water leak, show me your water heater. Right now, some of these things have been out and available before, but only via subscription.
Right.
Now instead of paying a subscription, you can brand it the way you want it. You could word it the way you want it. You could have it act on your website the way that you want it. Yeah, I mean, you've got to test it, and there's some development involved there. So it's not as easy as just build it and deploy it. I mean, I guess it is that easy, but you want to make sure that the customer experience is still there.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, that's cool. I'm excited. I'm gonna have to tell Chris, my husband, so that we can get some credits on Lovable and start making some apps.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me know what you're building. If you run into any challenges, definitely let me know, and I'd be happy to see what you come up with, because being able to do this while you're still getting started and growing is pretty exciting.
Exactly. And just having somebody on my team, in my network who knows how to do this is awesome. So I appreciate you for the webinar today.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining.
Okay. Of course. All right.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Sorry, my husband has a question.
Oh yeah, please, by all means.
Does integrate like Zapier?
Does Lovable work like Zapier or
Like,
Zapier?
it can tell Slack to communicate with a Google Sheet or vice versa.
Why don't we ask it? I haven't asked that question about if it works with Zapier or not. I would expect the answer to be yes.
Yeah, I would think it would.
That's the thing. With just about anything, yes, it can. So it can use webhooks.
So that's
Zaps.
even deeper. Yeah, the AI goes deeper. Well, we've got a lot of researching to do, so thanks for expanding our minds on it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for joining.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, you guys take care.
You too.